This view of merchant ships in Boston Harbor serves as a reminder of the early days in the Massachusetts Bay Colony. In the struggle to uphold colonial rights of self-government, the town of Boston secretly appointed a committee of correspondence whose purpose was to keep other districts in New England informed as to how Great Britain was violating the rights of colonists. When Parliament granted the East India who had earlier fought off taxes imposed by the Stamp Act of 1765, renewed their outcry. Taxation without representation is tyranny. As ships from Great Britain arrived at the port of Boston with their cargo of goods, the Committee of Correspondence would not allow the tea to be unloaded. Back to London, a mass meeting of angry citizens was held at Boston's Old South Church. The rebellion was led by Samuel Adams, patriot, politician, and cousin of John Adams, second President of the United States. The date was December 16, 1773. Following the meeting, a group of American patriots disguised as Mohawk Indians boarded the British cargo ships crying out, "Boston Harbor," tossed the contents of 342 chests of tea overboard, while a crowd on the dock watched in silence. Revolutionary War in America. The angry British Parliament reacted by passing the Boston to punish the citizens of Boston for their destruction of tea in the harbor. In the spring of 1774, news of a circular letter from the Committee of Correspondence reached the southern colonies. Boston, May 12, 1774. Gentlemen, by the last advices from London, we learned with a fleet of ships of war. The letter also made an appeal to citizens of all the colonies that Massachusetts would not be left to struggle alone. It was signed by William Cooper, town clerk. Chestertown, Maryland, in its concern for the Massachusetts Bay Colony and angry over Great Britain's intent to block Boston Harbor, decided to carry out its own act of rebellion. On May 23, 1774, townspeople boarded the sailing ship Geddes, anchored in the Chester River, and dumped its cargo of tea overboard.
That's the expression, Yankee dog.
Each May, citizens of Chestertown gather at the foot of High Street in a reenactment of the town's support of the northern colonies, engaging in colorful debates with those loyal to the crown.
Very right! To force their entry into any good man's home!
In protest of what is being done to our brothers in the city of Boston, their peaceful protest has been countered with acts of violence. The governor of Massachusetts has become brutal and
But it is taxation without representation!
yes.
Aye, aye! Taxation without representation!
The Boston Port Act has empowered the British garrison in that city to close the port to all commerce by the 1st of June. Will they stop there? Or will British military power simply close any port they choose? I resent this use of force, which could be applied against any of us. We cannot stand by and watch the closing of the port of Chestertown.
Your laughter is but a mask. True courage is not brazen, and if it's a and show your governor and king some
that you would sacrifice our civil peace and happiness to invite strife, or perhaps even...
Now, for speaking out against an immoderate position taken by our English brothers.
They're not alone. Other colonies share.
Military force. If we are men
For when the tide turns, what does King George send to us? Taxes and tariffs and military oppression. Well, at this very moment, the brigantine Geddes lies at anchor in our harbor. And according to this news from the Customs House, which Abigail has brought to us, the Geddes plans to unload its tea in the morning. I say we commit ourselves to liberty and to freedom by dumping that tea into the river.
Chestertown Tea Party, another step toward American independence.